Hello guys, in this video we're gonna build a RESTful backend using Yii2 PHP framework. If you don't have any experience working on Yii2 PHP framework, I do have a crash course I recommend to check out the crash course before watching this video. But in this video we're gonna build a RESTful backend, blog engine, RESTful backend, and interact with two main resources, posts and comments, and we're going to see how to create, read, update, or delete posts and comments, and we're going to also see how to paginate, sort, and get related data, such as get comments along with posts. We're going to also see how to authenticate and create, update, or delete posts when you are authenticated. And we're going to also restrict to modify or delete posts if the owner of the post is not the user who is basically trying to do the action. If you find this video useful, you will be more than welcome to like, subscribe, and share, and let's dive into the video. Let's first see what we are going to build in this video. We have a couple of endpoints. Basically, we are going to interact with two resources, posts and comments, and we have create, read, update, and delete of posts, as well as for comments, and we have also possibility to get comments for a particular post. And let's see these endpoints like get posts. So we are making a get request to /post URL, which returns all posts. To get a single post, we just need to add / and the post ID, and this returns single post. For get comments of particular post, we send a request like this, and this returns comments of post with ID 1. To create post, let's new post, and here is our just created post. If we now go to the get posts, we basically won't see these because we have also pagination. Let's make a request and have a look at the headers. We have here pagination, and the total count is 28, and on per page we are basically getting 20 posts. So if we want to see the second page, we are gonna add query parameter page equals 2, and this is changed now. Current page is 2, and if we have a look at the body, we see the response, and new post, what we have just created, is at the bottom. So we're going to also see how to get related data, like for example, first of all, let's see only several fields. Like I want to get only like fields are only ID, comma, title, and body. And let's send a request, and this returns only these 3 fields from the post resource. So we can also change the default fields from the Yii framework. Like when you make a request like this, it will only return title, body, and ID, and nothing else. This can be also configured. And additionally, we can get all posts with comments. If we pass here expand parameter, expand is for additional fields. Expand is comments, and let's make requests. And as we see, basically all posts come with their corresponding comments. So, and the comments array for most of them are empty. We are on the second page. Let's remove this page parameter and make a request like this. And as we see, the post 1 has a couple of comments, post 2 also has 3 comments, post 3, 4, and then there are no comments for each post. Okay, that's how it works. We can also change the ordering of the posts based on some field, like sort is ID. By default it's sorted with ID. Okay, so let's sort with -ID, which will sort these with ID by descending order, and we see latest post first and then newest. And we can do similar thing for title, like sort by title in descending order or something like this. And one thing about expand is comments. The thing here is that we can basically control the fields of the comment resource itself. Okay, so we know already that we can get only ID, title, and body of each individual post, but we can do the same thing for comments. Like inside fields, I can write here, I want to get the related resource comments.id and comments.title. Okay, I want to get only these fields and make a request. And as we see, I only get ID and title of each comment. Okay, let's move on and see. We will show how to create the update. Basically, it's pretty simple, making a push request on the following URL with body, with updated, and send it. And yes, we see this unauthorized, unauthenticated. So this is basically unauthorized request. So we are authenticated, and here is my token, but I don't have permission to change this particular post because this belongs to another user. Okay, so my token is admin token. So this should be some random string, obviously, but I have this here for simplicity. I send this admin token, and now I can update the post number 1. And when I get all posts, I see it's updated. Okay. Let's see how post can be deleted. Send request. The post was deleted, number 27. Okay, we see the status code 204, and if we look at the headers, there are 28 posts now, and let's make a request, and now we have only 27 posts. Okay, and let's move on comments. So get a single comment like this, it returns everything. We can also get some fields only what we want by passing a fields query parameter. We can also get a comment with post. Also create comment. We pass here body with post ID, and the post is created. Update post, delete post. And here basically I want to show unauthenticated, not authenticated, and unauthorized access. The authentication basically is that you are not, the system server doesn't know who you are, and this is when we make a request without authorization header, and I get this unauthorized request. So, and the second example is with forbidden exception. So basically, when I'm not authorized, I get the status code 401, and if I don't have permission, I'm authorized. Basically, I have some token, and the system knows who I am, but I don't have permission to delete this particular post because it belongs to another user. Okay, so we are gonna cover everything what I just showed to you, and build this REST blog engine REST API. Simple, but I think it will teach you a lot. Okay guys, before we actually start writing code, we need to install the project, and we need to download Postman application for testing REST API. So I have already created project from Advanced template. I do have a separate video on this, how to create a project and set up virtual hosts on both operating systems, Windows and Linux, using on Advanced template. And if you don't have any experience previously creating project from this Advanced template, I recommend to check out my video. It's not long, but it's a separate video, and I'm not going to spend time on this in this video. So I do have a project already created and set up with database and virtual hosts, and here is my project. So this is the I haven't changed anything there. This is just installed, fresh installed, Yii2 Advanced version. And it has this welcome page and a couple of other pages, and it has also backend. So the advanced template has two applications, basically front-end and backend. We are basically going to work with front-end. We're not going to touch backend at all. But if you want, you can add some additional information and the create, read, update, and delete of the comments and blogs and backend also. But I have chosen advanced template because it has more information, more pre-configured things than the basic version. Like it has users in the database and the authentication and such kind of things already done in database. That's different from the basic version, so I have chosen this advanced template. Okay, and then Postman. So if you don't have Postman installed on your computer, you can download for your operating system, install it, and you will be able to test your RESTful backend using Postman. Okay, I have already done this, so I'm not gonna do anything right here. Okay guys, let's start, and I'm gonna open my project using PHP Storm, and I basically have everything configured as I said, and I'm gonna connect to my database. Okay, MariaDB, and the database name is Yii2 blog API. Okay. And here's my database, and there are two tables created by the framework itself, the migration table and the user table. And the user table has the fields necessary for authentication. Okay. Okay, let's start building the very first endpoint, which is get posts. For this, we need to create first the table of the posts. Okay, and we also need to create table of comments, so I'm gonna create them together. We're gonna do this with migrations. So if you don't know what's migrations, that's okay. I'm gonna explain it very shortly, but you will understand how it works. And also let me know if you want to see or just learn more about a particular topic of the framework, like for example migrations, or just working with a database. Let me know this in the comment section below, and I will definitely consider your opinion. So I would love to hear feedback from you. Okay, so I'm going to create a migration file, PHP migrate create, and I'm going to call the file name like create post table. Okay, so I generally call my tables like post, not posts, in a singular form. So let's create this. And the file was generated, create post table file was generated under migrations folder, and by default it has this create table already there. That's because the E framework can understand my name of the file, create post table. So it basically parsed this name and understood that I wanted to create post table, and it did this for me. It has one field ID. So if I name my migration something else, it just wouldn't understand, like random name, it wouldn't understand, and just the save up and save down methods would be empty. And the save up method is when, which will be called when the migration should be executed in the database and created, and the down is when the migration should be the reverse basically of the up. Okay, let's create this and add a couple of fields like title, which will be string 512, and the body. And I'm gonna make the body as a long text. Created at when the post was created. This will be an integer, timestamp integer, updated at, when the post was last time updated. This will be also integer, and created by, who basically created this post. Okay, and we're gonna add a foreign key to the user table, because this created by is a user. Okay, so this add foreign key, and I'm gonna name my foreign key post user created by. It goes from the post tables created by column to user table ID. I forgot to mention that curly braces and % on the tables, what I did, it indicates that if later I configure my application DB component to use table prefix like my post or my user, so writing table names in this way will not make any problems basically if I configure my prefix of the database. And this will be evaluated finally into my post, and this will be evaluated into my user, while writing without the curly braces and % will remain like this, post and user. Okay, and I'm going to write also down of the migration, which will be first to drop the foreign key and then drop the post table. Okay, I don't need these fields. Okay, we did for post, and now let's create comment table. Comment table. Okay, let's add title also, which will be also string, and for body I'm gonna make it not long text but normal text, and the same fields like created at, updated at, and created by, and the foreign key also, and one more field is post ID, on which post the comment belongs to, this integer. Okay, and I will need two foreign keys, one for the post and one for the user, like comment user created by, and the table name is comment created by user ID. Okay, and next is comment post ID, and it goes on comment table. The field is post ID, the reference table is post, and the column name is ID. Okay, and let's copy these lines and change it into drop. Okay, we need to delete the last 3 parameters. Okay, yeah, that's it. We created our migrations. Let me double check it. Comment ID, title, post ID, foreign keys on user and post. Yeah, they look fine. Now let's run php migrate, which will basically see these migration files, compare to the files written in the migration table, and execute the migrations which are new and not registered already in the table. Okay, and as we see, these 2 migrations are about to be executed. Let's agree on this, and they are run, and let's synchronize the database, and we see the post and comment tables created. Okay, now we need to generate active record models out of these tables. Okay, for this I'm going to use Yii tool to generate them really fast. Okay, the very first thing I want to do, I want to enable pretty URLs, because I don't like how the URLs look like right now. I'm going to go to the common, not common, but I'm going to do this for frontend. So frontend config main, and below is the URL manager component, which is commented, and I'm going to uncomment it basically and refresh the page. And yeah, pretty URLs are enabled. And I'm going to access to Yii and go to the model generator. and the table name is post. I want to generate model for post. The namespace will be common models. Let's use the table prefix that adds these curly braces and %sign. Let's also generate active query class, which is basically a search class in database for this particular model. Again, if you want to know more about working with databases, just let me know in the comment section below, okay, if some things is not clear for you. Okay, the namespace, I'm gonna set it to query to be in a separate folder, and let's preview this. We are generating two files, post and post query. They are fine. Generate. And let's do the same thing for comment. The model class name is comment. The namespace is correct. Generate active query. Basically, everything is already remembered what I selected, like table prefix and the namespace and so on. So preview and generate. Let's have a look at the code right now in the common models. So basically, now we see two new models like post and comment. And inside query folder, we see this comment query and post query. Okay. And now we already can create an endpoint for getting posts. Okay, I'm going to do this inside controller. We already have site controller, but I'm going to create new controller, post controller. And I'm going to extend it from not normally a normal controller, no eWeb controller, but I'm going to extend it from active controller, which is eREST inside eREST namespace. And this active controller is basically a class which works with active record model and automatically generates and creates like get, create, read, update, and delete actions for this. And the only required thing for this is to specify on which model it should work. Okay, so I'm going to specify that the model class is a post class, and PHP Storm gives me a warning on this. Class name constants is only available in PHP 5.5, and that's because my language level is set to PHP 5.4, and I cannot change this. This is because it's written in the composer JSON PHP version above 5.4, and for some reason PHP Storm checks this and just forces on PHP 5.4, and I cannot even change above. So I'm going to remove this line, basically go to the PHP Storm settings and change this language level to the 7.3. Okay, now this warning disappears, and I can already make a request to post and get some posts and create and so on. So I'm going to open my postman and make a request to the posts. This basically doesn't work because our controller is called post in a singular. So I'm going to make a request to the post controller, and it returns empty array because we don't have any posts in the database. Okay, let's create new post. Okay, so let's copy this, create. I'm going to make a post request. Okay, I'm going to specify the content type, application JSON, and the body will be title demo post, and the body will be lorem ipsum something. Okay, let's make a request. Okay, method not allowed. This is because by default, if we don't change this in the URL manager, making a post request on this URL is not allowed. But this can be easily changed using URL manager, and we're going to see this in a couple of minutes. So, but right now I should make a request to /create. So post create. And why does this happen? In the active controller, if we follow this by hitting the Control key on your keyboard and the mouse, you can see that we have here actions method. let me collapse this. And inside actions we have index view, create, update, delete, and options. And these are predefined actions for this active controller. And this is basically how it works. So the post controller has index view, create, update, and delete actions. And if I want to make a request to the create action, I should write post/create. Okay, but we can change this in the URL manager, as I already said. Let's make a request on this, and as we see, the status is basically 201 created, which seems that everything was fine, but only ID was returned. And let's see what happened in the database. In the database, the record was made, but the title and the body and everything basically is empty. Okay. So the title and body, why these two fields are empty? That's because we send them, right? We send them title and body, but we don't see in database. That's because by default, Yii doesn't parse content type application JSON. It doesn't parse by default, and we need to change this. Okay, so we need to go to the frontend config main PHP. And here is a request component. And we want to register parser here. Like parsers is an array, and for application/JSON content type, I'm going to specify to use JSON parser. Okay. And let's make one more request. And now title and body was returned. And if we check in the database, we see that title and body are already saved in the database, okay? But we don't see this created, date, updated, and created by. That's because we need to add behaviors to the post model. Let's go to the common models post and create here behaviors method and return array of timestamp behavior and blameable behavior. This timestamp behavior basically creates automatically manages created at and updated at columns, and the blameable behavior automatically manages created by and updated by fields. We don't have updated by field, so I'm gonna specify here blameable behavior, and I'm gonna specify updated by attribute is false. So I don't have this updated by attribute. Let's make one more request, and now it returns these fields created at, updated at, and created by. And let's have a look in the database, and these two fields are set. Created by is now simply because we are making request as a guest user. We are not authorized, and system doesn't know who I am. Okay. We didn't make any field basically required when we generated the migration file, and we can make it right here. So create new rule, title and body are required. Okay, so now if I may try to make a request with only title, I will get a, first of all, the status code is 422 with data validation failed text. And we see this nice array of errors like field is body, message body cannot be blank. So if I make just empty object, we will get both errors, title cannot be blank, body cannot be blank. And basically, if something conflicts with the rule, like the title is more than 512 characters, we will also get this as a JSON when we make a request. Okay. Okay, that's clear. We created post. Now let's update posts. For this, we're gonna make post/update. The request method will be put. Let me copy this body basically, and we need to specify also header content type application JSON. Okay, post update, and we need to also specify the ID, which post we want to update. So we basically have 3 posts. I'm going to take the first one and like question mark ID equals to 1 and post 1. Make a request, have a look in the database, and as we see, the post was updated. And we can make a delete request on the URL delete with ID 1. Let's send it, and we see the empty response, but the status is 404, which means that the server processed the request basically and returned empty response. And if we see the database, the post with ID 1 disappears. Okay, and let's see also view of particular post, like get post when ID is 2. So this returns a single post. What's wrong here? Yeah, my mistake. So we need to use view action. Okay, this returns a single post. Okay, now let's see how we can change our URLs and make it more pretty first and more correct if we are building a REST API. Okay, so the URL basically should be the same, like /post, and depending on the words on the method, it should identify what to do. Okay, let's go to the URL manager, frontend config main PHP, and I'm going to add a controller here. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to specify that the URL manager class is a URL rule under REST EREST namespace, and then I'm going to specify controller, and the controller is post. Okay, so this basically does everything, all URL rewriting under this post controller. Okay, so if I want to make a GET request to everything, this /post still work, but automatically the URL rule makes every request pluralized. Okay, so /posts will also get all users. If I want to create a post, I need to make request /posts with the post method and make a request, and it returned successful response. And if I want to update particular post, I need to make a request to posts/id, and this will update the let's write text here, updated. So this will update the first post. Okay, object not found. Yeah, we deleted the first post. Let's update the second one, and it updated. And basically it works in the same way for delete, like delete the post number 2, and it works fine. Okay, if we don't want to the URLs to be pluralized, this can also be changed. In the URL rule, let's follow this by control and mouse, and we have a couple of options like prefix, suffix, and so on, and below there is this pluralized true. And if we want, we can change this into false, and not /post, but /post will work. And we also have possibility when we specify the controller to specify here array and write like comment controller when we do it, or the array can be associative, and I'm going to specify that the P in the URL corresponds to the post controller. And right now my posts /posts basically everywhere in every URLs can be changed into just /p. Okay, this will do the same thing. Just for your information, I don't like this, so I'm gonna return it back to post. And the pluralize will be true. Okay, we did it. We basically created all endpoints for posts, like get all posts, create, update, delete, and let's basically now work with the fields. So let's say that I only want ID, title, and body. Like I'm going to specify fields is only ID, title, and body, and this works automatically. You don't need to configure anything. Or if I want to sort by minus ID, so this also works fine. Okay, but sometimes it's necessary to let me go to the post. It's necessary to configure these fields beforehand. So if I want only ID, title, and body and nothing else, so I can configure this in the post active record model. Okay, so I'm going to override fields and return the array of fields which I want to be included in the response. Okay, like ID, title, and body. Okay, let's go to the postman, make a request, and I only see ID, title, and body. And there's no way to return created, add, and updated attributes. Okay, for this reason, it's not a good idea to put these fields directly in your main active record model. It's a good idea to create a subclass of this post class as a resource and put your fields array there. Okay, so I'm gonna take out this method, go to the front end, and create a resource folder there and create post class there with namespace frontend resource. And the post class extends from the post active record model, and I can put these fields array there. The only thing I need to change is the area where I specify the model class in the post controller. So I'm using common models post. I need to change this into front end resource resource post. Okay, let's make a request, and it works in the same way. So if I want to add additional fields like created when the post was created, I can do like this. But the fields will still work. So if you want, this basically returns all fields, all these 4 fields. If you want only 2, you can specify like ID and title. I don't want anything else, just ID and title, and that's also fine. We saw about sorting. Okay, let's see pagination. Okay, so let's remove everything basically and make a request to the post, and it returns 2 posts by default. And in the headers, we see X, the custom headers, which starts with X. And we have this X pagination total count, page count, current page, and per page. And this basically is everything about pagination. Like we have totally 2 records. The current page is 1. We have totally 1 page, and on per page we're basically displaying 20 records. So I'm gonna create more than 20 posts right now, just hitting this send multiple times. Okay, I created more than 20 posts. Let's have a look in the database. We have 24 posts. Okay, so go to the postman and make a request to get all posts. Get all posts. It's not basically returning all posts, but it returns first 20 posts, like with ID 22. And if we have a look at the headers, we see that per page is 20 and the page count is 2 now. We have 2 pages, and thus we have possibility to go to the second page. So this can be done by specifying a query parameter page is 2. And we are getting the second page, the current page changes into 2, and the body returns only 4 posts. And we can also change the per page, like per dash page, how many elements we want to show on per page, like 10 for example. And now this changes into 10, and we have totally 3 pages, and we are on the first page, and in the body we see only 10 posts, not 20 anymore. Okay, and one more thing I want to mention is extra fields. Like, we have possibility to configure fields, but we do have also possibility to configure extra fields. And so let's say that we have ID, title, and body by default returned from the fields array, and we can return created at and updated at and also updated by from the extra fields. Okay, let's go to the postman. Let's change this into fields, not fields, but let's make a default request like this first, and it returns ID, title, and body, which is written in the fields, but I do have possibility to get created at, updated at, and updated by also. For this I need to specify expand, and like created at, for example. So this returns created at attribute also, and I can specify other 2 attributes right here with separated by comma. Okay. Okay, so we saw how to create get posts. While getting, we can sort, we can paginate, we can get particular fields, we can get additional fields with expand. And okay, let me show you one thing also, that this URL basically works also in browser. So if I access it like this, this returns XML by default. So that's because the active controller in the active controller, which is the parent class of the post controller, is configured in a way to handle and return XML also when the content type is XML. Okay. And that also works in a similar way, like if we remove the expand, it returns ID, title, and body, and we can pass here like a sort and per page and so on. So this works in the same way. Okay. Okay, now let's move on and create a comment controller. Comment controller, which extends from active controller, and we need to specify model class. Okay, for model class, I'm gonna right now create a comment which extends from common models comment, and I'm going to specify this frontend resource comment class. And let's go to the frontend config URL manager, and I can specify an array right here, comment, and that's basically it, all about comment. So the comment CRUD basically create, read, update, and delete is basically done and working. Okay, so let me copy this URL and or just duplicate and create a get request to comments. Okay, so this returns empty array. Let's create a comment. We don't need to change anything in the URL. We need to specify body. Like okay, let's leave it and let's duplicate the post creation. Okay, so I'm going to make a post request to comments URL. The body will be demo comment, lorem ipsum comment. Okay, let's make a request, but this is not perfect. So this returns title, body, and ID, but let's have a look in the database. So the post ID basically is null, and these 3 fields are also null. So we know why these 3 fields are null, because we don't have behavior added to the comment So let's copy this behaviors method and put it in the comments model. But why is the post ID now? Because we didn't pass it and it's not required for one simple reason. Okay, in the comment model, we can add here like title and the post ID. At least these two fields are required. Okay, and when we make a request with this body, we see that post ID cannot be blank, and we're going to specify post ID. Post ID. If we specify wrong post ID, which doesn't exist in the database, we get also error on this. Post ID is invalid. Okay, so I'm going to specify it the post ID which actually exists in the database, 3, and here is my comment. And if we have a look at the database, we see that the second line basically contains everything. Post ID, created it, updated it, and this is now because we are not authenticated. Okay, so we can make additional posts, and let's get back to comment and the posts. We created additional comments, and let's get back to posts and return each post with comment. So we want these comments to be in the expand. So we can basically put it in the fields also and return always automatically, but it's not good practice. So it basically depends if you want or not. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, let me show you. The fields method has ID, title, and body, and in extra fields we have created it, updated, and updated by. And our post model basically has get comments, and this is a relation to the comments model. So one post has many comments, and we can achieve something like this, that we can add the comments in the fields, and every time when you access post, it is returned with comments every time. Okay, no matter what you pass in the URL. If you don't want these comments to always presented in the returned response, you can put it in the extra fields. Okay, put it in the extra fields like this, and this by default doesn't return comments, but you can pass expand comments, and that returns these comments array if you want. And we can also specify which fields we want to get from the comments, like fields is comments ID. So, but this will only return comments ID, nothing else, not even ID, title, and body, and so on. So this will only return comments ID, and this is how it looks like. But we can, if we want ID, title, and body, for example, we can override also fields method in the comment resource. Okay, so I can override fields and return ID, title, and body, but this will still return all the data from the comment, because the post has relation to get comments based on this class, which is right now common models comment class. Okay, so I need to override this method in the post resource and not use common models comment, but use frontend resource comment. Okay, this class name is deprecated, so I'm going to change it into class. And let's make a request, and as I see now, the comment returns only ID, title, and body. Okay, and the pagination, sorting, and everything else regarding comments basically works in the same way. So this returns all comments so we can update particular comment. Let's duplicate this, put comments with ID 1. The body will be updated comment. Let's make a request. Let's have a look in the database. So here the first one was updated. Let's make a delete request. Let's delete the fourth one. Okay. Yeah, 4 status code 4 was deleted from the database. Okay, we get created, updated, and deleted comments. We haven't seen to get one particular comment like get ID. And when we get particular comment, we can also get it with post information, like on which post it was written. So for this, we need to specify expand also. Expand is post. And if we make a request like this, this will not return unless we go to the comment and put this post in the extra fields. Okay, so we need to put here post inside extra fields, and when we make request, it's returned with the all information basically of the post, like ID, title, and so on. And we can also override get post method, which is written in the common models comment. We can override this get post and use post resource instead of post model. Okay, and this basically will only return the fields written in the post resource. Okay, let's hit and we see the response. Okay. Generally, we don't want to have possibility to return all comments, but we want possibility to return comments of particular post. Why do we ever need to see thousands of comments on all posts? We don't need this, I think. And now I'm gonna change these slash comments so that instead of returning all comments, it will just return comment of particular post. In the database, all comments basically belong to the same post. So I'm going to change this and make an update request and change the post ID into 4. Okay. Let's see in the database, and the first post was updated. Okay, now let's make a request so that I only see comments of, like, comments of a post number 4, for example, which will be this one. Okay, so for this, in best scenario, I would like to have the URL to look like posts /4/comments, like this. So if I make a request, it returns not found. So this is not what we want, basically. And by the way, this the response of the not found is not application JSON. So this just returns an HTML. So this can also be changed, and response can be configured in a way that I get application JSON of response type. But if I do such kind of things, the video will be too long, so I'm not going to focus on this right now. And again, feel free to write anything in the comment if you want to see more videos like this. Okay, this basically the URL doesn't exist, and we want to make our comments. We want basically to change something in the comment controller so that we get all comments by post ID. Okay, so for this, I'm gonna for the beginning, I'm gonna do like this. So the URL basically will look like comments / index, and like post ID is 4. Okay, if we do like this, This basically doesn't return anything because I have here comments. I need to make a request to comment index post ID, and this returns still all three comments because I don't handle this post ID. By the way, there is also if you configure your resource, there's possibility to enable filtering of resources based on some information, like filter post ID equals to 4. So this it's possible to configure your comment model to work like this. Okay, but I don't want advanced filters, so I'm not going to do this right now. I'm just going to go to the comment controller and override something right here. So I basically want to override index action, which returns every comment. Okay, and this index action has a couple of fields like prepare data provider, data filter, and it's an extent of action, and inside action we have some additional fields also. So I want to first of all override actions method, save parent actions, and override something there. So one way is to completely remove index action, like unset actions index, and then here write my own action index and return whatever I want, like return an array or return active data provider, which is a special class which works basically with the active record objects of the which is database active record objects, and the active data provider can handle sorting and pagination and all of the things what we have already seen when working with the postman. So this will be additional work. So I'm not going to override fully action index because it's possible to do it without it. So instead, I'm going to set the prepare data provider. So active data provider is used for index action, and I'm going to change the way how this provider is prepared. So here I need to specify a callable, the callback function which will be executed when the prepare data provider is needed. So I'm going to call it the same prepare data provider, and I need to create this method right here, prepare data provider, and I'm going to return a new active data provider from this method. And this, the only thing which is required right here is the query parameter. Query parameter is basically a select how to get the data from the database. So I need to write here comment find. So this will basically find every comment, and then I'm going to write where. So the where and basically end where, if you are using the first time, does the same thing, and I always use end where because it's more safe. Like if you have already written where somewhere, then the where will just overwrite it. Okay, so in complex projects, this happens when you are moving your active record object from one method into another as a parameter and so on. You maybe don't know exactly what where conditions are already called, or they are called or not. Okay, so just I'm always writing end where, and it does the same thing if it's the first time. Okay, that's more safe. And I'm passing here post ID. I basically need to get comments by post, and I'm gonna get the post ID based from the URL. So I'm gonna access request component, and from the get parameters I'm gonna get post ID. Okay, and this will return only comments for a particular post. I override this index prepare data provider, and I'm gonna return my actions. Okay, and let's make a request. And as we see, it returns only one comment right now. It doesn't return all of them. So this is the first one. Okay, one change I want to make here is that this comment, I'm going to replace it this model class. So this is a better solution because I have already set my my comment right here, so I can use this model class. The next thing I want to do is I want to change my URL manager so that comments posts / comments return what I want. Okay, so let's make a request. It returns not found, and I want to configure my URL manager right now to actually work on this URL. Let's go to the front-end main, and here I'm going to add a new rule. I'm going to add new rule which has pattern like this. So this posts, then slash, and then I'm going to put here a named parameter like post ID. And the post ID must be a number. Like I'm going to write a regex here /t plus number, and the route finally on which it should be redirected is comments, not comments, but comment /index. So when the URL looks like this, posts / some number and the comments, please use comment controller's index action for this. Let's open Postman and make a request. And this is our response. So it returns all comments for post ID 4. Let's just add post ID in the field so that we know on which post it basically is. Here is post ID. Okay, so we got all comments for a particular post. We know how to create, update, delete particular post. Now let's move on authentication part, like how to make a post request, put in delete request only when I'm authorized. Okay, let's move to the post controller first and create behaviors method right here. And we're going to override parent behaviors and change it slightly. So let's save first of all whatever is returned from the behaviors and return behaviors. And I want to override something right here. Let's follow these parent behaviors and see what we have right here. We have this content negotiator, which is a class responsible to change the returned response. And we're by default, as I said, it works with application JSON and application XML. So when we make a request in the browser, it returns XML. When we make in Postman, it returns JSON. Okay. We have here Verb Filter, which basically checks that we are making a request, post request with the correct HTTP verb method. And if we see this verbs method, which is in the controller, it's empty, but the controller is parent class of our active controller, which is also a parent class of post controller. Okay, so post controller is a child class of active controller, and active controller has these verbs. And active controller itself doesn't have behaviors, but controller has behaviors. And these verbs basically, which is verbs of active controller, has that on index action we can only make requests with get and head. On view action we can also make a request with get and head. On create we can only make requests with post. and so on. You basically see what happens right here. Okay, let's go to the behaviors, and we have this verbs filter, as we said, and we have this authenticator, which is what we are interested in right now. And the class is composite auth, and the composite auth basically is a class which has support for different methods, many methods of authentication. Like we can have 2 ways of authentication, like HTTP basic authentication and query parameter, and even we can have bearer authentication. So we need to override basically the authenticator class and make changes there. Okay, let's go back to the post controller and override behaviors authenticator. Okay, and I'm going to do the following. The authenticator is right now a composite auth, so I can do this in a 2 way. I want to support only bearer authentication, so I can change this composite auth into bearer auth. Let's bearer HTTP bearer auth, and this basically is all what you need. Okay, so I just changed the composite auth with HTTP bearer auth, and now when I make a request to get posts or to create posts, this throws unauthorized 401 exception. Okay, or we can do it if we want to have many different types of authentication. We need to leave the class name composite auth, but we need to change the auth methods. Okay, so let's go to the post controller, and we need to leave authenticator, but we need to change auth methods. And inside auth methods, I'm going to add only HTTP bearer auth. So the class name is still composite auth, but the method is bearer. So let's make a request, and we get the same response, unauthorized. Okay, but we don't want to be unauthorized when making a GET request. We want to be unauthorized when making post, put, and delete requests. Okay, so HTTP bearer auth as well as the composite auth are actions. So if we have a look at the composite auth class, it extends auth method, and the auth method extends action filter. And the action filter has 2 properties, only and accept, and the only and accepts are list of action IDs on which I want this action filter to be attached, or on which I don't want it to be attached. Okay, let's go to the post controller, and in the authenticator I want to pass this only. So my authenticator, I want to be only attached on create, update, and delete actions. And let's make a request of get posts, and it returns basically posts without any error. Let's go to post creation, make a request, and we are unauthorized. And the same will happen for update and delete. We can get, but we cannot create. And let's do the same thing for comments, and then let's work on how to be authenticated to make a request and create. Okay, so let's go to the comment controller and override the behaviors. Okay, and override the create, update, and delete. Not override, but so this basically is enough. So the auth method HTTP bearer auth is only attached on these URLs create, update, and delete. Okay, now we want to be authenticated to make a request. Okay, for this, user must exist, must be in the database. Let's go to the our domain and create new user, admin, and this advanced template basically comes with authentication, but it comes with email confirmation also. So please check your inbox for verifying an email. And the SMTP is not configured, so the common config mail local here, the mailer is configured to use the file transport. So basically the request wasn't sent to send an email, but the file was returned in the runtime mail folder, and this is the email. But the thing is that we're not going to confirm it, we just want something else. The user was created in the database and it has status 9, which according to the user model is inactive. We want to make it active. So I'm going to change it manually into 10. And we want to have an access token in this table to make a request using bearer token. So it has other fields like verification token, password hash, and auth key, and so on, but we don't want them. We want access token. So that in the common models user class, this find identity by access token to be implemented. Right now it's written not supported exception. Find identity by access token is not implemented. So we want to implement this. So for this, I'm gonna create a migration file and add access token to the user table. PHP e migrate create add access token column to user table. Okay, let's agree on this. Migration file was created in console migrations, and I'm going to write here this add column on user table, and the column name is access token, and the type is string with 512, and I'm going to edit after auth key, not at the bottom. I'm going to edit after auth key, and yeah, that's basically it. And I'm going to write drop column also, drop column on user table access token. Okay, and I need to add this access token right now in the common models user PHP. So the first thing is to add in the properties so that auto completion to work. So I have access token right here. I'm not going to add it in the rules. Find identity by access token. I'm going to implement this. Return static find one where access token is token, and I can also specify that the status is self status active. So this will basically return a user active user by access token. And below there are two methods, generate auth key, generate password. So I'm gonna copy this auth key and change it into generate access token, because we want it to be called on registration. Generates access token, and the access token is random string. And I'm going to call this generate access token on front-end models sign up form. So on sign up, when generate auth key is called, I'm going to call also generate access token. So when new user is registered, it already has this access token. So let's go to the sign up, register like webmaster. Okay, and setting unknown property access token. The reason is that we created migration, but we haven't executed. It's PHP e migrate. Yes. Now the access token is added in the database, and let's just refresh the page. And we see we have successfully registered. We need to check our inbox. We are not going to check, of course, go to the user table, and we see this access token for the webmaster user. Status is 9. We're going to change into 10, and we have created a user with access token. So for admin, we don't have access token. So I'm going to set it some like admin, for example, and for webmaster, let's set it for webmaster. So the access token basically should be a random string, as we did it correctly, but for testing purposes, I'm going to set it to simple strings to type it. Okay, and let's go to the postman, and we want to create new post. Okay, send request unauthorized, and now we're going to send bearer token, which will be admin. Okay, so this basically says that, hey, I'm admin and I want to create post. Let's send a request, and as we see, the post was created. Let's go to the front-end resources, and let's remove these fields. Okay, leave comments in the extra fields only, but I want everything to be returned. In the comments, I also want everything to be returned. Okay, so post was created. Let's create one more. Here is my post. Let's go to the post table, and as we see below here, we have this created by already set by the framework itself, by the blameable behavior which is added on the post model. Okay, if we pass there another token, webmaster, this is created by the user 2, and the created by is also set into 2, and as we see here is written 2. If we pass there some invalid token, we see unauthorized again. Okay, and when we are getting the get all posts like so, we're getting all posts. Let's sort it by a minus ID, so that the newer posts to be at the top. We see this created by, but as we can get comments, we can get also created by user, all information basically about the user, like created by, and this will not work because we need to add this created by in the extra fields. Created by. Okay, let's make a request. This is also, the created by is also a relational, so it returns everything: username, auth key, access token, and so on. Of course, we don't want that much information about the user because it's not secure to return password, hash, or access token or anything else. We just need like ID, username, and email, maybe, nothing else. But we can do this by creating a user resource in the resource folder and overriding this get created by method, which we did for comments. So I'm not going to do this, but just give you an idea of how you can do this. Okay, we did this, and I think last thing what we need to do is to restrict to update or delete a post or comment which doesn't belong to me. Okay, so we did this creating post, passing their bearer token for post. Basically, we haven't done this for comment. Okay, let's do this. So making a comment doesn't work, unauthorized, passing their bearer token, webmaster, and I can create the post. And this passing bearer token basically will work in the same way for put and delete. Okay, now let's do authorization, second part, and restrict access, restrict, update and delete if the post or comment doesn't belong to me. Okay, let's go to front-end post, and let's check the active controller again. We have here actions, and every action basically has this check access method, and we can override this check access. This check access method is an empty method in the active controller, and we can override it. And its purpose is basically to check if the current user has access on particular action when the model is this. So we have basically access to action and model, and we need to throw a forbidden HTTP exception if we should not allow. Okay, so I'm going to override this check access in the post controller, check access, and do the following. I'm not going to call parent. I'm going to check if action is update or delete. So in array, action is update or delete, and the current models created by. So my PHP Storm doesn't autocomplete this created by because it doesn't know what is this model. Okay, so I'm gonna change it into post resource. Okay, so now it knows. So created by. So if the action is update or delete and the created by is not the current user's ID, we need to throw my bad, new forbidden HTTP exception. You do not have permission to change this record. Okay, and we can update this PHP doc so that it throws forbidden HTTP exception. And now let's go to the update of post. Okay, so we are updating post, and we are not authorized because we are not passing bearer token. Let's pass the bearer token. So we are updating basically post number 2, and the post number 2 doesn't exist anymore. Okay, let's change it into post number 3, which doesn't have this created by. So let's set this created by on every post because it should exist. Okay, so we are trying to access post number 3 with bearer token webmaster, and the webmaster is user 2. Okay, so let's make a request. And we see this forbidden. You do not have permission to change this record. So if we try with different bearer token, like admin, I can do it, and it returns this successful response. Okay, I need to do the same thing for comments. Okay, so I need to copy this, go to the comment controller, and put it at the bottom. And I won't be able to update or delete a comment if it doesn't belong to me. Now, if we observe our two controllers, post controller and comment controller, they have something similar. So they these behaviors and check access, basically these two methods are the same. So we have code duplication. So I'm going to solve this by creating a myActiveController class, which extends from eRestActiveController, and I'm going to put the behaviors and the check access right there in myActiveController. Okay, and my comment controller, I'm going to remove I did it. I'm going to extend my comment controller from the active controller, my active controller, not eRest active controller. So this is basically what I need to do, and do the same thing for posts. So remove this check access, remove behaviors, and extend from my controller. So they are in the same namespace, so I don't need to use the class. And this is my controller. The model is post, so I'm gonna change it into, the model will be either post or comment, one of them. And let's check this in action again. So if I'm admin, I can update. If I'm webmaster, I cannot. If I have something wrong token, I get this unauthorized. And let's do the same thing for comments, like updating the first comment throws unauthorized. I don't have this bearer token, so I'm going to pass webmaster, and it shows me this forbidden because the comment created by is also null. So let's say layer 1, make a request. I can't update the first comment because its owner is 1, so the one user is admin, so I can update my comment if I am admin. And that basically is end of the video. So I'm really curious to know your opinion, if you like the video or not. So if you like, definitely thumbs up, because it helps me a lot. It motivates me to do more videos. And also I will be thankful if you subscribe for more videos, and let me know in the comment section also if you like the video or not, and what you want to see next. That is basically the end of the video. Thanks again. Thumbs up, subscribe, share this video if you like, and see you in the next time.